Hello everybody and welcome back to another StanCan tutorial. So in today's tutorial I'll be teaching you how to actually sew your Felix together to make him come to life. There is going to be 5 different steps and 5 different parts to this one video. Part 1 will be sewing the head to the body. Part 2 will be sewing the arms to the body. Part 3 will be sewing the eye sockets to the head. Part 4 will be sewing the eyes to the front of the eye sockets. And part 5 will be to sew the mouth onto the head. That sounds really complicated, but we're going to take it step by step and very slowly. So you're going to want to start by having the head and the body in front of you. So let's start by just doing a few maintenance things first. So using your sewing needle that you should have with you, you're going to just go through one stitch, okay? That's the important part. And then that towel can just be stuffed inside the body. You don't need that towel, okay? So just stuff that towel inside of your body. Just like that. So you should have just your body. Then with the towel that is connected to your head, you're going to attach that to your yarn needle. And then if you see the amount of stitches on the top of the body and the amount of stitches on the top of the head actually mirror up. So what you're going to do is insert your needle into one of the stitches of the head, okay, and go through. And then you're going to grab the body, insert your needle into one of the stitches on the body, and pull through. What that has done is basically attached the head to the body in one stitch. But you're going to want to do that to every stitch all the way around. So I'm going to go into my next stitch on my body, so the one after, and then onto the next stitch of the head, connecting them two together. Right, so then we're going to go into the next stitch of the head, which is there. And then the next stitch of the body, which is there. And pull that tight. We're then going to go into the next stitch of the body and the next stitch of the head. And do that again. So the next stitch of the head aligns with the next stitch of the body. Next stitch of the head aligns with the next stitch of the body. And that is it all done, I believe. I think I've just missed one here. So we're just going to do that there. But what we've done is we've now sewn the head to the body. It looks really, really floppy, doesn't it? It looks so floppy. So what we're going to do, and this is a little technique or a little tip from me, is I go into a couple of rounds from where we cast it off. I just insert my needle. And then a couple of rounds from where we casted off the head. And I just add a stitch in there. So I just add a sewing stitch in there. And I do the same for the other side. So just insert my needle to the other side. And I just grab a stitch from the side of the head. Pull it down. And what that does, it makes it a little bit more secure. Okay? And then thread your yarn through somewhere of the body. And instead of just cutting that, because if you just cut it, it could undo. What I like to do is I then insert my needle like that, put my finger through that loop and pull through like that, and then grab that towel, pull through and do that, okay? Now, what that has done has created basically a knot, meaning that your yarn won't undo. And then what you can do is attach your needle again, thread your yarn back through the body, come out of a different hole, and then this is where you can grab your scissors and just cut that tail, because it's all secure. And that is your head sewn onto your... Right, so now for step 2 of this sewing up process. You're going to need to grab both of your arms that we made in the second or first tutorial, or the second video. Okay, so here are your 2 arms. We're going to put one to the side for a minute, and we're just going to work on the first one. I'm going to demonstrate one on camera, and then you can go away and sew on the next one. So you're going to insert your needle into that towel, attach the towel, the towel to the needle, and then what I like to do is just sew up this the top of the arm, and then pull that quite tight. And what it does is it just decreases it a little bit, and then just secure that off, just like that. And then we're going to now be attaching that to the little neck the little neck part there. So to do that, I insert my needle into the stitch around the neck. I then insert my needle into the top of the arm. I then insert my needle into another stitch in the arm. I then flip my snuggle buddy and insert my needle into the other side of the neck. And look, we have now attached our arm. What I then do is I then thread my yarn through the body, like we did when we were sewing on the head. And then I leave that there for the time being. I then go and sew on the next arm, and then I will tie the ends. So what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to sew on the next arm, and then I'll be back to show you how you tie these 2 ends and make it all secure. Okay, so here we are. I have now got both of the towels in the same hole. We're then going to just tie them 2 towels together, like so, and then cut them towels a little bit shorter than they are at the minute, and then using my scissors, I just poke them towels into the middle of the body. Be careful you don't stab yourself all the way through. Do it quite lightly, just like that. And then there is your 2 arms attached to your snuggle buddy, and they are really, really secure as well. So no need to worry about them ever coming off. Okay, now let's go on to part 3. Okay, so in part 3, you're going to need your 2 eye sockets, as well as your 2 eyes that we made in last tutorial. And you're also going to need your white yarn, okay? So, let's break it down. What are we going to start with? Well, we're going to start by cutting this middle magic ring towel a little bit shorter, okay? So, cut it a little bit shorter than it is at the minute. You're then going to attach the towel to the first eye socket, and then in the middle of the head, or the middle, going across, I mean, not dead in the middle, about 3 rows from the center, you're going to just attach one of the stitches, okay? That's what I do for now. And then we're just going to leave that there. You're then going to do the same with your next eye socket where you cut the magic ring tail and then pop your yarn onto your your needle, and then just sew one stitch to the head. So at this point, this is where you can then move your eyes around a little bit if you don't like them. So I don't like this one's more over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to put them here instead. Okay. So I'm happy with where them ones are. I'm looking at the picture. That looks very similar. So what I'm then going to do is sew them to the head. I'm not going to be doing this bit on camera because you should know how to sew now. However, I will come back once I've sewn these two eye sockets to the head. Okay, so I'm back and I've just sewn the eye sockets to the head, and you can start seeing it come into life now. Now we're going to add the eyes to the eye sockets, like here and here, okay? I have changed my yarn needle that I'm using. I'm going to be using a metal yarn needle when working with cotton, just because I find it can be a little bit tough to go through. But obviously you can keep to the plastic needle if you like. So I've just put my yarn needle onto the magic circle towel, and I'm just going to push that through the eye, right in the middle of the eye socket, okay? Just like that. Then I'm going to do that for the next one as well. Okay? So just going to do that right in the middle. Just pop that through, just like that. Now what that has is that has made us like a sort of, it secures it to the eye sockets, or gives us a little bit of like guidance for when we're sewing it to the eye socket. So all that you're going to do is just go through one of the stitches of cotton and one of the stitches of the eye socket. Okay, so I'm going to go away, do that, and then I'll be back to teach you how to do the little white speck on the eyes and how to do the mouth as well. Okay, so I'm back and I have just sewn on the two eye sockets, the two eyes to the two eye sockets. And now what we have to do is we're going to have to add a little bit of embroidery. So there's a little bit of a mouth that goes on here, and then two strands of white makes like two little eye specks. If I show you the pattern, you can see them just up in the corner. You can see the two little speck of whites. So that is what we're going to be doing. So to start off, we're going to have to undo this white knot. Okay, just like that. And then you're going to want to find the two ends like we did last time, which is there. And then find the other end as well. So you should have two ends, okay? A loop end and then a two towel end. What you're then going to want to do is grab your pair of scissors and cut that loop in half. So what you should have now is two strands of yarn. Like that. So two strands of yarn. We're going to put one to the side for a moment, and we're going to grab our other one, grab our metal needle, or plastic one, whichever one you're using, and pop that onto your needle, okay? So I'm going to start with the right eye, and then I'll go away and do the left one. So what you're going to want to do is come in from the back and poke it into the middle of the eye, okay? Just like that. And then you're going to want to put your needle through the top of the eye and come back out where you put your needle in, like that. And then you're just going to pull all that through. And look, we've created like a little line of white. Now what we're going to do is tie them two ends. like that. And then using our pair of scissors, we're going to cut them short. And then just poke them inside the eye socket. Sorry, come off camera a bit there. Just going to poke them into the eye socket. And look, we've added the little speck onto the eye. So I'm going to go away and do that to the other side, and then I'll be back to show you how you do the mouth. Okay, so I have just sewn on them little white specks to either to both of the eyes. Now what we're going to do is just grab another strand of black cotton. We're going to embroider the mouth. So if I show you the picture, here is the picture that we're working with, okay? So that is what we're going to need it to look like. How do we do that? Right, so we're going to start by pushing our needle through your head and coming out around about the center, okay? Just like that. You're then going to put the yarn all the way over, so just drape it over, put your needle through this side, and just pull that like that, okay? So we've actually, that's the mouth done. However, what I actually like to do is I'll demonstrate it here, is I come back through and up around like that, and then I like to come back down a couple of stitches and then just come out over here. And what it does is it adds sort of like a line to the end of the mouth. I love how this looks with the little line, so I'm going to do that to both sides. Trying to just come out at the right place. There we go. So if we come up to here, and then I'm going to come out at that hole that I went into originally, because then what we can do is tie them two ends together. One and two, and then you're going to just cut that off and then tuck them ends in like we've been doing throughout the whole thing. And then there we go. You can move that mouth around a little bit just like that. But look, we have now finished our Felix the Frog Snuggle Buddy. So I hope you have enjoyed making your Felix the Frog. Make sure, if you haven't bought one of the StanCan kits and you've just been following along, make sure to go over to the Hello Craft website, drop us an order. It does really help us out here at StanCan. And yeah, make sure also, if you to ever share one of your makes on any social media, just to tag us in it, or put hashtag StanCan Crochet, and we will share you on our social media. But other than that, thank you so much to everyone who has tuned in and made Felix along with me. And yeah, remember, if Stan can, you can as well.